Just a little reminder, because I know people will be asking in the comments now we've got all that Christmas and New Year shenanigans out of the way. Remember, we don't go back to the normal schedule here on the channel until Monday the 7th of January. So a few more days of this non-League Legend, one day home, the other day rotation thing. It's because I record them so far. And I've started work again, but I've got to build up I have systems. Hello and welcome to Club 4 Part 8 of Non-League Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two Premier League games for you. We're at home against Chelsea and at home against Huddersfield. Since you were last with me, it's fine. The form is fine. We beat Bournemouth, which is good. Beating Bournemouth is exactly what we should be doing. We probably should have won one of the Everton or Burnley games, and Hull were bottom of the leagues. We definitely shouldn't have lost to them. Putting a positive spin on it, it's 5 points from 4 games, which isn't relegation form. If we keep that ratio up all season, we'll be fine. But when you look at the run of games we had, Bournemouth, Everton, Burnley, Hull, you kind of think we probably should have got more than 5 points out of those games. So if you look at our next run of 4 games, Chelsea, Huddersfield, Man United, Arsenal, that's a bit of a step up. Newcastle, Leicester, Tottenham, Wolves. I don't know when we're going to have another opportunity to pick up a couple of wins like the one that we've just had and kind of blown. This is where we are though, and this is the positive. We're in 11th place after 11 games, 15 points on the board. We're almost halfway towards our point goal for the season of 40 points. We're well clear of relegation, although we've given Hull a nice little get out of jail free card to start catching us up a little bit by being pretty awful against them in the last game. And the most worrying thing for me, from a personal point of view, as a man who likes goals and free scoring strikers, Oliver McBurney is still our top scorer. He got injured in our second game of the season. He is now almost fit again to be playing. We did bring him off the bench in the last game, but it was probably a little bit too soon. And I don't know that we're going to be making that mistake again today. I think we'll just leave him to recover properly. I am keen to rush him back into the team, though, because we're just not getting any goals from anywhere else. We've also got a little bit of an injury crisis going on. If we just filter that a little bit to take out players in other squads. Rodek is injured and he's going to be out for ages. 3 to 4 months for a broken leg. So we're down to a goalkeeper I didn't even know we had. Luca Ashby Hammond. I'm glad he's here. He's 22, capped at England under-20s. I'm glad he exists. He's sitting on our bench at the moment. But we've also got injuries to Albrighton, who's barely played this season. But he's out for a couple of weeks. And he would have been playing at the moment because Matritz's injured. And he's going to be out for about 3 weeks. So we don't have anyone to go on that left-hand side of midfield at the moment. This is the first game since the two of them got injured. So today we're going to be trying Aubameyang out there because I've not really got anything out of him as a striker. He's only started 2 games. He's not been very good though. So maybe he'll offer us something a little bit more coming in off that left wing. But we really are, for the whole attacking section of the pitch, we're just waiting for Oliver McBurney to be fit again and hoping that first couple of games of the season weren't just a flash in the pan and that he is actually going to be a consistent goal scorer for us this season. We're also counting down the days to the January transfer window starting. It's the 4th of November now. There's not actually that many games between now that he says not many games, because I knew there was only 3 left in November, but there's another 6 in December. So we've got 9 games before the transfer window opens. We'll be more than halfway through the season when the transfer window opens. We've got money to spend when the time comes, but we need to pick up some points before then. We need to win at least 3 games before the transfer window opens. And then I'm going to go into that feeling comfortable to go and spend a lot of money and assuming we're not going to get relegated. But this is our team for the first game against Chelsea. This is the one we should lose. And then hopefully we'll beat Huddersfield in the second game. But we're kind of keeping an eye on Aubameyang to get an idea of if he can do that left wing position. He probably can't. Excitingly, though, Simon Hall is a wonder kid, officially. There we go, wonder kid. I think that makes him our first proper, recognised by the game wonder kid that we've had in the whole of FM19, not just in Non-League Legend. He's our first proper wonder kid. So congratulations to Simon Hall, and he is our kind of only hope attacking wise, because everyone else in the attacking sections is a bit rubbish. But we're going with Rinner in goal. A back four of Brian, Mawson, Duffy and Larson, with Tiny-O in behind Cullen and Calderon as our usual midfield. Mitrovic up front, supported by Aubameyang and Hall. If Aubameyang really doesn't work out on that left wing, then I guess we're going to have to toy with some kind of two-striker thing that doesn't have a left winger. The obvious thing to do would be to just abandon wingers, but when our best player attacking wise is a right winger who can't play anywhere else on the pitch, it's difficult. Yes, we're underdogs. Go out there and give the fans something to cheer. Exactly, that's what we wanted. We have looked good in training. I mean, I look good all the time, but I think we've looked particularly good in training. But what do? We've got no left wingers. Sean Keegan, the young backup right winger we've got, I mean, he can theoretically play on the left wing as well, but he's not particularly effective. So are we better off going with a two-striker, one-winger thing, which is going to be a bit lopsided, but possibly more effective than sticking one of our strikers out on the left wing where they're not really going to do very much? Because presumably, knowing how my mind works, when McBurney's fully fit, if Aubameyang's not worked, I'll try Mitrovic out on the left wing. I tried quick pick before the match to see what that wanted me to do. That put Power out on the left wing for us, which, bearing in mind, I don't think Power's ever started a game for us, and he's a striker. That shows the quality of everyone else who theoretically can play left wing. The Cliff Notes version of it is we haven't got anyone who can play on the left wing at all. So all of my instinct says drop wingers, but then we've got Hall, who's our best player, so we can't. Aubameyang, though, cutting in from the left-hand side. I mean, it's a wild shot, but he was involved. That's more than he's been when he's been playing up front for us this season. He got that penalty on the first game of the season, but since then he's looked no threat at all playing as a striker. We've tried him as a poacher. We've tried him as a complete forward. Poacher doesn't really work with our system. He doesn't really work as a complete forward. I'm starting to think he was a bit of a frivolous signing, but when you remember we couldn't bring in anybody else, we couldn't really turn him down, and he was relatively cheap as well. So I'm not going to say that I regret bringing Aubameyang in for the price that we're paying for him, but he doesn't really fit in with the way that we want to play, and he's obviously probably a good 2 or 3 years past his sell-by date as well, and not really got it anymore. But I don't know, maybe a two-striker system alongside McBurney or alongside Mitrovic is the way for Aubameyang to have a little mid-season resurgence. It's just trying to figure out in my head how we do a two-striker system whilst keeping our solid three-man midfield whilst still playing a winger and not leaving the team completely lopsided. And I don't see how it's possible to do it. We're just going to play on the whole underdogs thing again. Obviously, this is our big local derby as well, isn't it, playing Chelsea? They've signed De Ligt as well, like I did when I was Chelsea manager in the beta. They're also playing Jorginho as the defensive midfielder like I did, but presumably not as a half-back, which I think is what I did, much to ridicule of all of you. Right, we've got a corner. It's Larson, who's our best player on average rating again this season, and Aubameyang has fouled De Ligt. I thought it was the other way around for a second there, and I was getting all excited that we might be about to win a penalty. After I've said Aubameyang's done nothing, he perhaps just wins penalties when you lot are watching, but no, he doesn't do anything ever, which is what we've found time and time again. Right, what can we do to try and change this up? We only have 2 very young strikers on the bench. We've got Liam Thorne, who's the big lad, 6'5" target man, who scored all those goals on loan at Forest Green last season, but has never played in the Premier League for us. Or we've got Freddie Power, who Quick Pick says should have been the guy who started the game out on the left wing as an inside forward, which, I mean, I don't rely too much on the attributes. But to be honest, he does have them all. I wonder if we might even do the most ridiculous double substitution in the history of Football Manager. Unless have we got anyone to bring on for Joe Bryan? We don't. In that case, we can ignore that he's injured. And I'm going to do a ridiculous double substitution that could easily backfire. See, how can he not be a complete forward? He can do everything. He's a natural target man and poacher. I'm leaving him on complete forward. He has the tools to be able to play as complete forward. Attribute time again. As much as it pains me to look at it, what can't he do as a complete... Actually, there's quite a lot that he can't do. Target man. We know poacher doesn't work in this system. Target man's not going to either. I think I might shift him to be an advanced forward rather than a complete forward, and we'll just do that. 6'5", and we're not playing him as a target man because we play possession football and we don't know how to lump it up to a 6'5" striker. But you never know. We've got two youngsters, both coming on with the potential to make themselves heroes in the local derby. Forget settling for a 0-0 against a much better Chelsea team. We want to go out there and win it with a bunch of kids no one's ever heard of. Right, Cullen's not playing well. Mendy for Cullen is our other typical substitution that we always make in these situations. They've signed Zaha as well at Chelsea. Now they've moved Jorginho into the normal midfield because they've pushed a player further forward. I see what they're up to. They've taken Kante off and pushed further forward. We're not going to lose this game, I don't think, which is an incredible performance, really, against Chelsea. Thorne isn't very good, is he? Mendy's fallen over in midfield, and after saying we're not going to lose, we're now going to lose, aren't we? Mawson lumps it clear, and that should be that. That is that. Well, after how poorly we played against Hull in the last game that you didn't get to see, I don't know where that performance came from. But now we play newly crowned bottom of the table Huddersfield at home, and surely after that performance against Chelsea, we've got to be hopeful of 3 points against Huddersfield in the next game. Yeah? Couple of changes for the Huddersfield game then. We're going to start Power. Aubameyang was useless out on that left wing. Power's probably not going to be any better, but let's give him a try against the weaker team. There might be some logic in there. Hall picked up an injury as well. He's not going to be out for any length of time. He's just going to miss this one game, but we are going to give a start to Keegan. McBurney, not quite fit to play today, 85 and 81 for his conditioning and match sharpness. We could probably risk him if I felt we needed to. In fact, you know what? We'll stick him on the bench instead of Thorne. And if we're 2-0 down with half an hour to go, we might bring him on and risk him. I've also swapped the player instructions around for Mawson and Duffy. I must have had him around the other way earlier in the season, but I noticed, and you probably noticed it as well, that I had Mawson playing as a centre-back stopper, Duffy as a ball-playing defender, defend, and they were both on half-position suitability. I don't know how long they've been like that before, but I've swapped it back round now so they're the right way round. And I need to keep a closer look at my defence. But let's get into the game. And fingers crossed, we can put on a bit of a show against Huddersfield. When we've played against weaker teams previously, we've done okay, apart from the whole game that we're not going to talk about. There you go. We owe Huddersfield after our last game. I don't care about Southampton, but I always say I hope they stick with him because I hope that subconsciously tells my board that they shouldn't sack me when we start to have rough times. And if we don't pick up a result today, no matter how good the result against Chelsea was, a poor result today and rough times feel like they're on the horizon. We've got Man United and Arsenal up next, and then a one-game reprieve, and then I think we've got Liverpool, and then there's Spurs on the horizon as well. We've got a lot of big, difficult games coming up in the next few weeks, really. And this is a game where we could really do with getting some points on the board, because a win today puts us on 19 points after 13 games, which means we can lose a few and just kind of claw our way through to January. Probably one more win. If we can win this, one more win, and then I think we're on a decent points total for the start of the transfer window, and we can go out there and spend some. Yes, we're staying in the Premier League money. Let's buy some players to help us make that a bit more comfortable. But here is Power. First look at him on that left wing, and he was useless. Who'd have thought? And there's Larson. Larson and Keegan getting on top of each other a little bit there, but Keegan, I thought he'd come away with the ball, but actually he kind of just stopped and ran into the Huddersfield player, and they're now coming at us a little bit. This camera angle, it's like we're in a helicopter. This is mad. And now Brian plays it back to Rinner, not Rinny. I don't know. Our keeper. We'll just call him Keeper. Rinner is what I normally call him, isn't it? And we've not been very good in this first half. Let's show some passion. This is a game we absolutely should be winning, but we played much better against Chelsea than we are against Huddersfield, which I know is a local derby and a game we weren't supposed to do well in, but we kind of had this against Man City earlier in the season where we played really well, but that didn't work at all. We played really well, but didn't really get any reward for it. And then we played against someone not as good as them and lost, like 3 games in a row. We've got to start playing well against the teams who aren't any good. I wonder if it's something to do with the kind of attacking, possession-based football that we play. We're kind of playing against the bigger teams at their own game. If a team try and keep possession and come at us a little bit, we can kind of match up with them doing that. to a point. But if a team comes and defends and tries to hit us on the break, we don't seem to have a way around them. And Huddersfield are doing exactly that. They've come here, they've defended, they've now hit us on the break. They've gone 1-0 up with half an hour to go, and we haven't looked like scoring yet. This is that scenario we bring McBurney on, isn't it? We talked about it before the match. Right, we're going to give it 5 minutes, and then McBurney's coming on first. I'm going to demand more and see if demanding more. No, not hefty. Demand more. I mean, I've wasted my 5 minutes trying to find the demand more button. I haven't got time to see if that had any impact. Joe Bryan is injured, or still not fully recovered from the last game. That's why we've got Sessegnon on the bench today, so he can come on for him. We're going to do a triple substitution. We're going to be on McBurney and Aubameyang, and we're going to do that. And we're going to see if that triple substitution, plus showing some passion, is enough to help us get a way back into this game. Calderon now just runs straight into a Huddersfield play. You didn't see him doing that against Chelsea, but against Huddersfield, he's just going to run into one of their players and give the ball away. We get so sloppy against teams that we should be better than. Why have I paused the game? I'm trying to press get creative as soon as I can, but there we go. Get creative. Let's put Aubameyang up alongside McBurney. Let's do the lopsided attack that we were talking about. So you can be there as a poacher, which means you can just do that. There you go. Poacher, target man. Everyone in their natural roles. Neither of them really suitable for a controlled possession system. And we've been rubbish. It's made no difference. Nothing is happening. Ugh. This is so frustrating. We played so well against Chelsea. We've been so poor against Huddersfield. And it's happened time and time again. We've bookmarked that Chelsea game with games against Hull and Huddersfield where we've lost and just looked utterly pathetic. But we looked really good against Chelsea. And I do not understand. We're going to get aggressive. And, you're going to be in training tomorrow because that was just turd. That was rubbish. We've got to learn to play well against poor teams. And bearing in mind we were in the Championship last year doing exactly that, I don't know what's gone wrong because it's the same players. I think we're going to try and make it most of the way through to the transfer window now. Maybe we'll look at the last couple of games before the transfer window opens so we can get an idea of exactly what we're up against. Then we'll perhaps do Wolves and West Ham and then do another episode after the window closes. That seems to make sense because then you can see what we do in January and share ideas on what you think we should do in January. What do you think we need? We've got plenty of money to spend. What do I need to spend it on? And that episode is going to be on Friday at 4 p.m. and then we're back to normal schedule next week. If you have enjoyed that though, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.